Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Valerie Cofield, and I am president of the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. And I'm so very excited to welcome you to this year's Share in Harrisburg. It's got a new twist. In the past, we've come to you live, and this year we're doing something different. We are coming to you virtually, and we hope that there is no loss in the experience this year for any of you. In fact, we believe because we are coming to you virtually, we have afforded more opportunity for more businesses and buying entities to participate. So we're excited about this platform, but of course, we miss being with you in a live setting. And we look forward to joining you all same time next year live. But without further ado, I want to talk to you a little bit about Share, about how Share was conceived, about why Share was conceived, and why we are here today. Share was created as, actually Share started in Pittsburgh, Share Pittsburgh, just about 6 years ago. And it was conceived as a collaborative between buying entities, corporations and buying entities in Western Pennsylvania that would share the best in class minority and women-owned businesses, diverse businesses that they had worked with, share them with their colleagues in the marketplace, giving them the advantage of having been vetted and already working in a procurement setting. It was a validation opportunity for those minority and women-owned businesses that had not been able to break through in other companies, to have those partnerships be leveraged to gain entry to other organizations that may be seeking their supply services and solutions. Share has grown. It continues to grow. It moved from Western Pennsylvania to Share in Harrisburg. We came to Share in Harrisburg 3 years ago, and we are still growing. And we look to expand this collaboration throughout the Commonwealth at minimum, and hopefully throughout the region and possibly nationally. We are excited because what Share represents is not only a collaboration between corporations and buying entities, but also between advocacy organizations, municipalities, state government, local government, and national federal government in bringing together opportunities for diverse businesses. And let's be honest, right now more than ever, we need to focus in on creating opportunities for our small, diverse businesses in the region and beyond. In the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen many businesses opportunities come to a screeching halt. Many are trying to pivot into new spaces, but many are also finding themselves struggling for survival. And so we felt it was critically important that we continue with an event like Share, creating those spaces for you as minority and diverse businesses to connect with buying institutions, with corporations, to present your services, supplies, and solutions, and to build those relationships that will ultimately allow you to be sustainable and thrive. What we need is a strong, diverse business community that can be the undergirding of the overall economy. We need more of you back to work. We need more of you expanding opportunities. What has also been quite amazing to me as I look and do the work of EMSDC is the resiliency of our business owners, your ability to pivot and move into spaces that are in high demand, your willingness to take chances and risks that many would not under those conditions, and your understanding that your impact that you're having is not just limited to you as a business owner, but to the individuals that you employ and the communities where you are located. So I thank you for staying strong and resilient. And to our corporate partners and buying entities, I say to you, do not forget how important these businesses are, how much we need them to move our economy forward and to recover. Please make real opportunity for them to engage with you, present with them, speak with them today with real and meaningful opportunities presented so that they are not challenged by the disconnect of a virtual experience, but are in fact enhanced by being able to access you in a more intimate space. I thank you all for joining us, but I also want to thank you and give special thanks to our sponsors, Johnson Controls, Inc., Joe Emmerich, Retail Business Services, Cheryl Smith, UPMC, George Robinson, and our entire planning committee. We could not do this work without our planning committee. This has been a labor of love and of passion and of commitment by every member of this planning committee. I'm not going to read all of the names, but I want you to take some time, because not only are they in this room right now, but they will be a part of the matchmaking process. Many of these companies will be a part of the matchmaking process later this afternoon. And this is an acknowledgement that we know that the work that we do matters, that it's important, and that it has impact. And so I am excited to continue this work. I am excited to join you today, and I look forward to the feedback and follow-up that we're going to have after this event is over. I want you to know that we have our chats feature that we're going to use for questions and comments. So please get to chatting. We have moderators in the chat room. If you have any comments or questions, please make sure that you use that chat. We look for robust engagement by everyone. If there's anything that we can do to make your experience better, please let us know in the chat room, or email or text us directly. So without further ado, because I think that it's really important that we get into the meat of the day, I want to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Kathleen Katie McGinty. We are very pleased to have Katie with us today. Katie McGinty is the Vice President of Global Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs for Johnson Controls, a leading energy efficiency and building technology company. She has over 25 years of public and private sector experience. She's a recognized innovator in clean energy and environmental protection. Katie champions technology development and creative policies to solve tough environmental problems. Her public sector career includes serving as the chair of the White House Council on Environmental Quality and as Deputy Assistant to the President from 1993 to 1998. She was also the Pennsylvania Secretary of Environmental Protection from 2003 to 2008, and chair of the Pennsylvania Energy Development Authority from 2004 to 2008. In the private sector, Katie has experience leading a business focused on redeveloping brownfield properties. She also served as an operating partner with a private equity fund, where she helped build successful growth strategies for mid-stage clean energy, water, and efficiency companies, as well as serving as director of a publicly traded and privately held business in the energy sector. Katie is the recipient of numerous awards and recognitions. She also served as then Senator Al Gore's assistant on developing policy around environmental strategies. Please join me in welcoming Kathleen Katie McGinty.
Well, thank you, Valerie, so much, and to all gathered. And Valerie, I do want to shout you out for your leadership and drive and vision. You're leading an impactful organization, and we are really grateful to have you at the helm. I know in a moment you are also going to be hearing from Joe Emmerich, and I want to shout him out too. Joe's the kind of guy who makes me very proud to be part of Johnson Controls. Joe, like Reggie Layton, who I think is well known to this organization, our Vice President of Supplier Diversity, as well as my colleague Grady Crosby, trust me, they keep supplier diversity as a top priority for all of us, and we couldn't do it without them. We're grateful for their drive and vision. But today, to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, I especially want to thank you for your participation in SHARE and in the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. You make a huge and positive difference every day, and every one of us benefits from your hard work. If you would allow me just for a moment, before we dig in and share some thoughts as to how we grow all of this together, the contribution of your businesses, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the terrible pain of this time. COVID has hit Black and brown families especially hard and reveals again the reality of systemic racism in this country. The economic hit coming from COVID, don't have to tell you, the shutdown has been especially tough for small, medium-sized businesses. And then the heartbreak and horror of the murder of George Floyd and yet another man, Black man treated as if his life didn't matter. Black lives do matter. All of this comes together to rip our collective hearts out. But even more, it is surely an almost impossible burden on the hearts and souls of many of you on this call, Black and brown families and communities of color everywhere. These events have exposed issues that have not been adequately or honestly addressed in our society. And I guess as we start, I just want to say I am very sorry. In this context, I salute you all even more for being part of this event today, for your push forward in the face of it all. I am glad that you are remaining focused and determined to win. Thank you for your leadership, your grace, and your courage. Well, let's talk about winning. I said a moment ago, I was glad to join this effort to grow your contribution, the contribution your businesses make. I use that word contribution purposefully. Why? Because simply in my view, when minority-owned businesses win, we all win. You are making a contribution. And what do I mean? First, you are the backbone of our communities. When you are strong, the community is strong, the county, the Commonwealth, our country is strong. Second, from a bigger company perspective, you grow community. You are growing customers for our products and yours. Now, an insight as old and older than we've heard Henry Ford when he was asked, why are you giving your employees a raise? And he answered simply, so my employees can buy my cars. Of course, we discovered that supplier diversity economically equips communities just the way Henry Ford knew and said it did. We also discovered that supplier diversity gives us market access to customers who share our values, and that increases customer loyalty. So a crucial piece of supplier diversity goes well beyond compliance. We're talking about business development. No charity here, it is self-interest. Third, we at Johnson Controls know for sure that diversity is our strength. And I know this too from my background in environmental protection. You don't want monoculture. Monoculture means vulnerability, means you are a sitting duck. Diversity is strength and resilience. Fourth, I believe supplier development is one of the strongest things we can do to promote equality. Why? It is really real because it is about ownership. It's not just slicing somebody else's pie. It's literally growing whole new pies. Ownership unleashes entrepreneurship and innovation and creativity, even as it sinks roots deeper into a place, which again, all makes our communities and all of us stronger. So given all that, what can we do to grow your success and all of our success? A couple of things I wanted to point out. First, the trends. Trends support your growth. What do I have in mind? Well, we certainly have seen COVID pointed up supply chain vulnerabilities. Businesses and society broadly has felt the pain of overdependence on just a few suppliers and service providers, especially when they are far, far away. Local is newly valued, and we, in this meeting, have the chance to connect the dots to your businesses. You are diverse suppliers, yes. And now is the time to drive home that you are also that local player. You are that company down the street. Sustainability concerns are also ascendant. Now, some of you might say, well, that's about environmental action, cutting pollution, not necessarily your lane or your business. But here's what I see. Sustainability is defined now differently. It's about E, S, and G. So E is the environment part, and that has been most prominent. And good thing, we have a lot to do, especially, for example, to tackle climate change. Now, though, the S, social, and the G, governance, are of heightened concern and interest. Investors are looking closely at how companies are, for example, treating employees during COVID. They're asking, is the pain being shared equitably in this organization? They care about whether companies are doing their part to stabilize and strengthen communities as this tsunami has hit communities. Here too, we have an opportunity to connect the dots and spotlight the fact that diversifying supply and service providers is one of the most impactful actions a company can take to show strong social action and healthy governance. So taking those trends, now let's drive it into an action agenda. And I have 4 ideas to share with all of you for your consideration. The first one, we all know in business, we manage what we measure. So at Johnson Controls, we are now cascading goals and targets in growing supplier diversity from senior leadership now down to our sales and procurement colleagues. Performance ratings, bonuses now depend on making supplier diversity happen. We recognize this kind of accountability is surely a best practice. And we also know that NMSDC does a great job of recognizing that the leading companies implement these kinds of supplier diversity best practices. But how about if we work to make it not just a best practice, but standard operating procedure across the board? Let's take that on industry by industry. Second idea, and back to investors, leaders of companies pay very close attention to what analysts ask and highlight. We can start with those investors who are looking at sustainability, at that E, S, and G. As I mentioned before, we in our company see those investors on the rise. What used to be relegated to just some boutique investors is now becoming part and parcel of the due diligence of investors broadly. So ESG is on the rise. We can encourage those investment advisors to adopt supplier diversity as a solid, real, measurable metric to measure a company's sustainability performance. Let's get supplier diversity included in those scorecards. Third idea, and this draws from my former experience at the state level of Pennsylvania, government contracts. Governors and elected officials at every level are even more concerned now than they usually are about local jobs. It is timely to bring this up to drive the point that public dollars can and should be spent in a way that in fact creates those local jobs. Fourth idea, and finally, I would really encourage all of you, reach out broadly. As you make the case with elected officials, look beyond your immediate commissioner, representative, senator. I would encourage everyone in this room to think about your multiplier effect. Who do you buy from? think about your suppliers. Where do they come from? And what is that full multiplier you're contributing, again, across a lot of communities? Perhaps many of you are located in urban areas. You might think, I don't necessarily have a case to make from to legislators who come from more rural areas. You know, I'm not going to be able to enlist their support. But is that correct? Ask yourself, do you depend on, buy from, support companies who supply you that in fact may be in that rural backyard or someone else's part of the state or region? Know who those companies are, know and name their names, know where they live. And when we get back to normal, bring them along with you to those meetings. By all means, don't be bashful. Take that super positive story that you represent, both your own business and that multiplier. That's a super positive story. Take that to legislators now. So just some ideas, potential action agenda now, timely, because there's some trends that really should put wind in the sails of minority suppliers in Pennsylvania, in the region, across the country. So I'll just wrap up here. And I guess coming back to where I started, it is really an honor to be with all of you today. Your leadership and drive is truly inspiring. And I certainly mean it. When you win, we all win. And I couldn't be more pleased to be a little part of this team. And I just want to say, God bless every one of you for your courage, for your fortitude, and for your fight. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Katie. You probably can't hear it, but there's a roaring applause going on for your, thank you very much. So again, for those who missed the introduction, I'm Joe Emmerich. I serve with Valerie on her board. I serve Valerie and the other board members, but I really serve all of our suppliers. And you know, and I echo all the things Katie said, but really when you think about what's happening in this world, and you think about the timing of this event, it couldn't be any more timely for what's happening right now. The courage that each of you are fighting, whether you're looking at the racial issues going on, whether you're looking at COVID, our Black and brown friends, companies are getting hit the hardest. So all the more important for this event. So I just want to just thank Valerie and her whole team for continuing this, because again, it couldn't be more timely. So a couple questions have come in through the chat, Katie. I thought I would throw them out to you to see how you can respond. Some of them are directly with John's Controls. One of the first question comes in: how do you procure project management office schedulers?
Well, that is a very specific question, which I'm sure Joe and I would be very happy to dig down into the specific answer. However, I think right now today, with the kind of speed dating that you will be doing, you'll have the occasion to get a little more color on that. The other two things that I would just point to are, one, our talkback sessions that Joe helps to spearhead and lead, which give you the opportunity to come directly into the room, or maybe virtual room for a while, with our account managers who actually own and handle specific contracts. So that gives you the opportunity in a very real and tangible way to look directly at, to interact directly with the people who are running those contracts for us. The other thing I would just share, and I think Valerie could probably speak to this as well. I think this is a best practice. I think we are proud of what we do, and we should do more. But when we come to those sessions, we try to come with tangible, actual contract opportunities, where it's not just a sort of getting to know you in the abstract. It's, we've got this job to take on this building, to retrofit it in this way, and here are the services and supplies we're going to need. So, so please stay tuned for those kinds of opportunities and events. And I know that Joe is the master and keeper of all of those events we try to put on a regular basis.
Sure. Well, thank you, Katie. And just to add a couple more things to that, again, I think like in everything in life, it's about relationships. And when you look at Johnson Controls, and I think many companies, even of our size, it's so important to build those relationships with those local offices. So whether you're in the central Pennsylvania market, coming over and meeting us at our New Cumberland location, we have 7 offices throughout Pennsylvania, but really that's where a lot of those decisions get made. And, no different than Johnson Controls out selling our cells, you need to be selling to Johnson Controls. So if you have those services that, make sure you're finding your local office, and we would love to talk to you and understand how to not only bring you current opportunities, but hopefully even future opportunities so we can do that. So absolutely. Yes, the second question here, Katie, was supplier diversity dies in middle management where decisions are made and incumbent suppliers really trump. How does Johnson Controls plan to deal with these issues that pervade corporate America?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really powerful insight. So I have had the privilege over the last couple of days of spending a lot of time with Joe, and then, as I mentioned, Reggie, Layton, and Grady. So I've gotten a little more granular look, and I'm only at Johnson Controls now a year, but I got a little more granular look as to how we go about it. I pointed to this during my remarks, but I might underscore it here. What we found previously was that we had some goals and targets at a very high level in the organization, and it's always been important and a priority for us, but we weren't seeing that punch through to the organization and frankly to that granular level where the teams actually get put together, not as much as we wanted to see. So I believe it was only just in October that we changed the game. And we said, look, we're going to cascade those goals, real metrics, numbers, specific targets in terms of growing supplier diversity from that top level management all the way down to our salespeople and our procurement people in every region. So, again, it comes down to you manage what you measure. And when people's, frankly, performance evaluation and their bonuses include this metric, that metric gets high level attention right quick. So that would be my suggestion, is to look and see if those metrics can be cascaded down in the organization.
And I'll also add to that, I'll put a plug in for the EMSDC and the value of EMSDC. So when you talk about those scorecards, so me as a manager within Johnson Controls, I'm measured on this, but the only way for me to get credit on my scorecard is you've got to be certified. And many other companies are like Johnson Controls. So again, I'm probably preaching to the choir for many of you who are certified. So if you are, thank you. But for those of you who are wondering what's the value of certification, it's important because Johnson Controls takes this diverse supplier, diverse subcontracting seriously. I think all of you know there are a lot of games get played in this space. Anytime you have something good, somebody's going to try to play a game. And the thing I love about EMSDC is we know when we are subcontracting and bringing a partner in from EMSDC, that this is a true business. It's a quality business. It's run by diverse leaders. And more importantly, as Katie said, they're hiring other members of the community. So it's not addition, it's multiplication. When we hire a diverse supplier, we're not only just putting money into one person's pocket, we're putting money into the entire community. And that's why Johnson Controls sees so much value and why we partner with the NMSDC and locally here, the EMSDC. So, and I've been able, because I'm on the board, I get to see it firsthand and I can testify to that. So. Just trying to see timeline, if we have any more time for any more questions. I don't necessarily see any other ones coming in, but one of the things that, Katie, I was going to ask you while we're waiting, if anything else comes in, is, you've had a great career both in the public and private sectors, and just wondering, what are some maybe paradigms or some things that have changed for you as you've moved from that public sector to the private sector? Is there things that have been confirmed, or have you changed any of your thoughts on things, and maybe some advice to our certified suppliers out there of things they should be doing in ways to network in both the public and private sectors?
Yeah, so thank you. That's a thoughtful question. I think we all are stung by the polarization, in our world. And one of the things I feel blessed and very fortunate about is, when you're in government, sometimes you're tunnel visioned as to, geez, those business guys just don't understand all of the weight and the burden that is on, my desk and the decisions I have to make. And when you're in government, when you're in business, you can think, geez, those people in government have no idea how business runs. Now, how do we break through it? I don't recommend you break through it by leading the kind of crazy career that I've led. However, here's the insight, and it comes back to some of the themes I shared. Please know, and we have some government leaders on who have sponsored this. Everybody in this room, this gathering, represents an incredibly positive solution to challenges that those government leaders have right now that are really difficult. Your ideas about how a local government can spur your growth, maybe those government contracts, maybe it's something smaller, maybe it's just an interpretation of a regulation that's holding you back. When you come with a solution and you say, look, this one seems to be misplaced, but if we could address it, I'm telling you, I could hire another 10, 15, 20 people, in the next 6 months. That solution orientation, that coming, yes, maybe with the identification of a problem, but then with a creative idea about solving it, government leaders want to hear that and take that message to them. And I think you'll get a very welcome reception.
Fantastic. I just got another question here. It was, again, about procurement within Johnson Controls. It says, are there specific areas within Johnson Controls that's focusing to increase their spend with diverse businesses, or is it just generally across the board? My company is in branded merchandise and uniforms, so wondering on what opportunities are in that space.
Yeah, well, I think, again, one of the initiatives, Joe, you together with Reggie and Grady have really been spearheading is making this across the board. And so as I understand it, where we are now, or where we're growing to be post this movement from having the accountability just reside at the senior management level, every one of our procurement colleagues has a supplier diversity target to meet, and is going to be rated and measured on the basis of, in fact, increasing that supply. So I think no matter what your line of business, you should feel and believe that you have a potential opportunity with Johnson Controls, and we need to hear from you. This is now across the enterprise a goal and objective that every business unit and every function in the company shares as a priority and will be judged and graded on.
Great. Well, thank you. And as we wrap up here, I just want to say again, Katie, thank you. You're a very busy person, so taking time out and sharing your wisdom has just been amazing. And I'll speak for Johnson Controls, but again, I represent from the board of the EMSD. So today's not just about Johnson Controls, but I would tell you many companies, large companies like Johnson Controls. So within Johnson Controls, if you're a supplier, like the person who asked the question about the branded uniforms, we have a website. You need to go up and get in our database, register yourself, and then contact your local branch. We're going to have this afternoon, one of our procurement specialists working with me today, where I just serve the local central PA market. He's got a much broader look within the company. But regardless, even if it's something that doesn't touch me, I'm committed to helping each one of you. And again, I think I speak for many companies. This is on the scorecards of many executives. So I would recommend you reach out to those companies, but again, specifically Johnson Controls, reach out to your local branch office. If you're not sure who it is, reach out to me. Valerie will provide my information. I would be thrilled to help you. But again, thank you very much. And thank Thanks for the rich conversation.
Thanks, everybody. Go get them. Bye.
We're going to turn it over now to Liz Walsh.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I think Katie signed off, but I just wanted to share that in addition to the host of accomplishments that Valerie shared about Katie, she was also the commencement speaker at my high school graduation. We graduated together. I haven't seen her since then, but she looks the same. I don't, but that's okay. So my name is Elizabeth Walsh, and I am the president of WeBec East. And I really appreciate what Katie just brought to the table and kind of the blending of the vision and specific tactics that we can all take to move the agenda of supplier diversity forward, especially as I really appreciate that both Katie and Joe did mention the current difficult times that we are in, not just because of the social inequities, but because of the health care crisis. But I just wanted to give just a little call out to Val and the original creators of Share, because if you look at that tagline, it says communication, collaboration, and commerce. And I just, to repeat it, communication, collaboration, and commerce. It's the tagline for this event and for this initiative, but it could be, a mantra for us all to be employing during these unprecedented and difficult times. So I'm thrilled to be here. Really appreciate all of the work that the Planning Committee and EMSDC have done for this great day. I wanted to take a moment to introduce the first workshop presenter, How to Succeed at Business Development During Uncertain Times. Our presenter today is Joel Burstein. Joel is the CEO of Keep It Simple Training and Development. He is a savvy entrepreneur with 20 years of business development and adult training experience. Keep It Simple specializes in fundraising training, management strategies for organizations and programs aimed to increase retention of employees by providing them with soft skills workforce development training. Joel's bachelor's degree is from the University of Miami, and he went on to complete a 3-year invite-only program at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. Joel's Keep It Simple approach to business development, management, and vital skills training has earned him three 40 Under 40 awards. Most recently, the New Pittsburgh Courier's Fab 40. So we're pleased to have Joel join us today, and we're really looking forward to your timely topic. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay, Liz? Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Valerie, and to the entire EMSDC for asking me to host a workshop today. So much has changed in 2020, which is really taken us out of our comfort zone in so many unique ways. And so today I thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the challenges we're currently facing in the business development world. So sort of what's changed. But most importantly, I thought I'd focus a little bit on what hasn't changed and how that can still help us be pretty effective at business development. What's changed for me is that training is not done in person anymore. And so, as a trainer, we've lost the engagement with the audience. We've lost a lot of that. So today I use the chat a lot. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. Do me a favor, just chat yes, no, put in as much as you can. It makes this go a lot more smoothly. So feel free. So let's start here. What are you struggling with in your sales process? I'll give everybody a second to type something in there. What are you struggling with in your sales process today? Not necessarily because of COVID, just in general. What do you think you struggle with? Time to follow up. That's a good one. Solid pipeline. Love that. Yeah, leads. Turnover from prospect to customer. Yeah. Very common. Yep. Getting to the decision makers. That's always a tough one. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit about that. Voicemails. That's good. Lack of professional courtesy when reaching out. Ghosting. Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit today. Yeah, some of these things haven't changed, right? Those are things that were problems we dealt with in 2019. Gatekeepers, another great one. Getting contracts. Managing prospecting versus current client project. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these are all common, and I would venture to bet all of these were challenges that you had in 2019. They're going to be challenges in 2020, and they're probably going to be challenges in 2021. So this is always one of my favorite slides to do. It's always very hurtful for someone like me to ask this question, but it happens all the time. So let's play a little game. Anybody remember the game show Password? I'm going to say a word. Salesperson is the word, and you have to use a word that describes salesperson. So use the word that comes to you first when you think of salesperson. How would you describe them in one word? And yes, it's hurtful, but please feel free. Relentless. I could live with that one. Coin operated. That's new for me. Pushy. That's pushy. Annoying, necessary. Pleasantly persistent. Well, that's positive. I like that one. That was good. Solutions provider. All right. Waste of time. Don't listen, on a mission. Yeah. Insincere, another great one. Career. Yeah, so these are great. So I'll pose this next question to you. With the stigma around a salesperson, based on the world we live in today, do you think it's worse to be a salesperson in today's industry? Yeah. Yeah, tougher. Some said it's better. Yeah. Definitely harder. I think most people would agree. I mean, I think the world has changed. It's definitely a little harder. I can't repeat that one. No. Lens of a solution, big challenge. These are all great. Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's where I think some of the biggest challenge lies, at least with our clients. The challenge has lied in people, salespeople, and you don't have to be in the direct sales business as much as you could be the CEO of a business. You could be asking for money. You could be the head of a nonprofit. It doesn't really matter. I think people are genuinely concerned about being tone deaf to the current environment, right? It's not that sales is bad. It's just, how do I do it in this environment without feeling like I'm tone deaf? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Most of the roadblocks and stalls and objections you face have evolved from interactions with the buyer and are not necessarily tied to a particular facet of your product or service. And so what's interesting about this is we start to talk about how we can have impact with our buyers by connecting with them. And sometimes it's not our product. Sometimes they just may not like us or the way we've presented it. And so that's really what we have to work on in this new environment. Need to continually sharpen the saw. Absolutely. I have another one for you. This one's a little bit more involved. How has your business development behavior changed as a result of COVID-19? Throw that one out there. More empathetic. Zoom is now normal. That's true. Stalled. Got to be more strategic. All accurate. Absolutely. Lots of projects on hold. Yeah, that's a tough one. Non-personal. Intensity is increased. More cautious. Yeah. More cautious on both sides, actually. It's a pretty good one. Consultant versus sales. Absolutely got to be creative. You got to get creative with some of this stuff. There's no doubt. More focus on marketing your company digitally versus marketing in person. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is all right. I mean, there's so much going on. And I think, we have to sort of take a step back and really think about how it's changed. Goals we had in January could potentially, and more often than not, are no longer valid, right? We have to create new goals going into the second half of the year, right? And that's hard because we had a plan and it's been a bit derailed. Some of them may be still accurate, but some may not be. And we have to be able to maneuver, right? The only constant is change. So let's take a look at what has changed. Some of the things that changed. I saw some prospecting pipeline, that type of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about what has changed. What's changed? Networking events have been paused. In-person calls have been paused. Traveling, event marketing, lunch meetings. These are things we lived off of. That's how most of us did business, and it's paused. Here's some new behaviors: video conferencing, social prospecting and selling. Yeah, absolutely. I get more stuff on LinkedIn today than I ever did. Cold calling, cold emailing, reaching out to people you don't know because they're not in the office, right? You can't see them at an event. You're not going to meet them strategically. Thought leadership, so showing ways that you can pass on the knowledge you know. Webinars, online events. Here we go. We're doing one right now. Leveraging existing relationships, right? Many of us have forgotten to actually leverage the existing relationships we have, and we don't ask for enough referrals. So let's do this. Let's talk about what hasn't changed, right? We know what's changed, and I think we've all talked about what has changed a lot. So let's talk about what hasn't changed. So I want everybody for a second to put on their buyer's hat, as if you're walking into a car dealership or you're buying something. Put on your buyer's hat for a second. Not in the salesperson role, but what happens when you're the consumer, right? This particular process has not changed. People still make these decisions. First thing you're going to do is express interest. Be interested in a product. Most likely you're going to act motivated. You're going to be excited about it. After that, you're probably going to get some level of information. However, you might be shopping around. You might need to get a couple other quotes. So you're going to avoid making any sort of commitment. Probably tell the salesperson you're going to think it over. At which point, you may have gone with someone else and you're going to disappear. I'll explain how this happens. Has anybody ever done this? Ever? Once? Maybe? To someone? Yes. Yep. Listen, if you've never done this to someone, well, you're not a typical buyer. Ghosting 101, that's exactly what it is. It's funny, you'd think somebody sat you down and taught you this process, right? Like your parents sat you down and explained this to you. But we all know it. We've all done it at least one time, probably more. So let's talk about how we typically sell, right? First thing we're going to do is we're going to get some sort of a needs analysis. We got to see if there's a need there. But once we have the needs analysis, we jump to our presentations and our proposals. One of the biggest things we coach for is not doing proposals too early in the process. They are usually time-consuming and overwhelming, but we do them way too soon. Once we've done the proposal, the only thing left is to close it. Now, either we get it or we don't, but at least we try. Well, if we can't close it, we got to handle some objections, right? Well, we handle those objections. They said they needed to think it over. So we're now stuck in the follow-up phase. Has anybody ever done this one? Even I've fallen victim to this one before. Reorder this. You absolutely could. Oh, yeah. Too often. It's a must. So this is typical. This is what we do. So let me explain to you what's happening here and why this doesn't always work. Here you have the buyer who's expressing interest. You give them some level of needs analysis. They act motivated. You give them a proposal. They take your information. Maybe they're shopping it around. Maybe they're genuinely interested. If they're shopping it around, they're going to have to find some way to avoid committing to you because they need to go do some more looking. So they avoid commitment. You're going to handle those objections. They're going to disappear and you're going to follow up. This is the dance that typically happens when you're buying and selling. This is what's going on. So more importantly, what can you do about it? I have to put this rule in there because I think it's important. Hard selling is good for one thing, hard pushback. All of the people who are afraid of being tone deaf in the current environment, it's because you fear the hard sale, not the consultative sale. If you sell something to somebody they need and have a pain for, you're never really selling. You're helping solve a solution, helping solve a problem with a viable solution. So what can you do about it? So let's talk about this. To keep it simple, we do a number of different things. We do management training, leadership training, sales training, workforce development training. But the methodology we typically use is the Sandler's methodology. It's 7 steps. It starts with bonding and rapport, upfront contracts, pain, budget, decision, fulfillment, and post-sale. I'll show you this really quickly. The first 2 steps are bonding and rapport and upfront contracts. This is where you're going to build the relationship. Bonding and rapport. Be disarmingly honest. Be unique, be different, but be you. Ask connecting questions. Ask people, what's their past? What got you here? What's the present? What's going on now? What future? What do you see in next year, 2 years? Upfront contracts. Upfront contract is an agenda, but it's really only the beginning. Agenda is only the beginning. Make sure you tell them what's happening, what's going to happen to them next, right? So what's the expectation? What's the outcome that we're gonna come to together? If people know what's going to happen to them, they tend to be a lot more comfortable and receptive and more open to sharing their actual pain with you. Pain. So this is the qualifying the opportunity section. First section is pain. What's interesting about qualifying the opportunity is you also, as a salesperson, have the right to disqualify prospects. You don't have to take everybody. You have that right? So pain, let's start there. Pain is more than just a needs analysis. It's a compelling emotional reason to move to action. Budget. We put budget a little bit ahead of where other people put it, simply because I would much rather know whether you're willing and able to pay me before I go doing a whole ton of work. Decision process. This is where I have to find the decision maker. This is where I have to understand who the decision maker is. This is where you turn into your interviewer, your reporter, the who, what, when, where, how, and whys of how a decision gets made within an organization. You got to understand that, and they got to be willing to share it to you for you to continue down this process. Last 2 steps are closing the sale, fulfillment. Fulfillment is where you get to do your presentation. However, we all fall victim to this, I've done it myself. Present only what solves your prospect's problem. Sometimes we present more than we need to, and that just gets to be too long. They don't want to hear all that. Present just what they need. And post-sale is where you confirm that the buyer won't back out on you. Anybody ever gotten cold feet before? Buyer's remorse? This is where you manage that particular process so you don't have to worry about that. One thing I wanted to share with you today was that success really is a matter of 3 separate pieces that have to come together. Number 1, attitude. Attitude is the philosophy and the beliefs. It's your why. Behaviors. That's the strategy, your plans, your goals. That's really the what. And technique is really the skill, the personal presence. That's your how. You put all 3 of these together, you're guaranteed to have some success. In conclusion, break the rules. Try to be different. Don't follow some of the traditional sales tactics. Don't get caught in that buyer-seller dance I just showed you. Be disarmingly honest. Absolutely, positively no hard selling. And you have the responsibility, not just the right, the responsibility to disqualify bad prospects. I think we're out of time, Valerie, but if anyone wants to, what's the one lesson you learned today that you want to share in the chat real quick? No hard selling. Present only what's important to the buyer. They all have a job to do, that's for sure. There's always hope when you break the rules. I like that. Be disarmingly honest. Don't push to close too early. Oh, that's a great one. Joel, keep going. Okay. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. That's good. I like that. I happen to be a big fan of that one. The upfront contract. You have the right to disqualify the prospect. Powerful stuff right there. We get spend entirely too much time. And I will say it again, we spend too much time doing proposals for deals that will never close. In my opinion, that's stealing time from you and your business. Don't let them steal your time. Qualify. Beautiful. So thank you for attending. If anyone would like some complimentary access to anything at Sandler, feel free. There's a link below. Any questions anybody has, feel free to put those out there. Please don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Well said. Well said. Send the PowerPoint to us. There's a steep fee if I send you the PowerPoint. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. I'm done here, Val.
Hey, Joel and
Hey,
everyone. Great job. Thank you very much. I had to find my camera to turn myself back on. Thank you, Joel. As always,
welcome.
you illuminate and enlighten all of us. For me in particular, you remind me that selling is not a bad thing, and it's a part of what we do. It's how we bring in and drive business. You take the dirty word out of selling. So thank you very
I
much.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And I, from the comments that I've read, people have really appreciated what you shared with them. So I will tell you that we've accomplished what we intended to this morning. Between you and Katie, I think that we have positioned all of our businesses for a great afternoon of matchmaking. So thank you again very much. Thank you for your service, not only to the business community, but also to the EMSDC. For those who don't know, Joel is an EMSDC MBEIC vice chair. He represents Western Pennsylvania because he sits in Pittsburgh, but as any vice chair or any chair of the MBEIC, the Minority Business Input Committee, he is available to all of the minority businesses who are part of the EMSDC. So please reach out to him. You can actually find his contact information on EMSDC's website. So again, thank you, Joel, and good luck this afternoon with your matching.
Thank you, Val. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Good luck today.
Great. I just want to thank everyone again. This has been a great kickoff to Share Harrisburg. We are looking forward to you guys having productive matchmaking this afternoon. And so as we are wrapping up, I just want to leave you with a couple of instructions. You know, they left me with a list of instructions for everyone to get you started and get you ready for matchmaking. So first of all, if you are matchmaking this afternoon, I need you to log in to https://share.mbmapp.com or click the magic link in your confirmation email to go to what's called My Schedule. There you will be able to join the virtual room. That button will be enabled during your current meeting time. If you experience any technical problems, you will have access to My Business Matches support system, as well as a conference number to connect with each other over the phone. So My Business Matches will be providing technical support throughout this afternoon. After 2 minutes, if you are a scheduled supplier and you are not in the room, you will be called. If you don't answer, the meeting will be canceled and other suppliers will have the opportunity, being notified via text and email, to take your opening. Suppliers, if you have gaps in your schedule, please visit with the resource booths or other suppliers and wait for openings resulting from no-shows. I expect that there will be no no-shows today. At the end, you can log off when your meetings are complete, and that will conclude your day. I want to thank you so very much for joining us, and I expect that you will have a very productive afternoon of meetings, connections, and networking. Good luck, and know that EMSDC, all of our partners, the entire committee are very pleased to bring today's Share in Harrisburg virtual event to you, and we are all open for business. Have a great day.